Hey guys, CozyBug here. Today we're taking an in-depth look at another life sim currently in development. We are going to review the sit-down interview with the lead developer of inZOI. This video came in 2 parts with an hour's worth of content, so this is going to be a long one. Grab a snack, get cozy, subscribe, and let's jump right in. inZOI first made waves back in November of 2023. The game seemingly came out of nowhere with stunning visuals, interesting gameplay, and a playtest demo for a select few creators. Before we dive into features of the game, I think it's important to look at who is behind its development. The game is being published by a large, well-known publisher, Krafton. They're known for their very popular game, PUBG. I really don't want to butcher the name, so this is the developer here.
저는 김형진이라고 하고요.
He comes across as a really passionate, likable guy. inZOI is off to a good start, and I feel like the game is in really good hands. Part of the video that was honestly a little bit sad after listening to how excited and passionate the developer is was when he talked about how initially, when they reached out to various content creators with a demo of the game, they had a very hard time getting anyone to play it. Everyone was extremely skeptical of it being a scam or a fake game. They were only able to fill 9 of their 10 demo spots. I think a lot of people didn't believe a game like this could exist after playing The Sims for so long. And of course, the community does have reason to be skeptical. It's not the first or even second time people have gotten their hopes up just to be let down. Although, if anyone at Krafton is watching this, hit me up. I'll play inZOI. I just built myself a powerful new computer, so I'm good to go. I'm really determined to keep up to date on inZOI despite the language barrier. Learning more about the developer, we find out he has been working for over 20 years as an RPG game developer, with inZOI being his first crack at a life sim. When asked why the switch from RPG games to life sims, he responded saying it was a big thing for him and his son, while his son was growing up, to play these life sims together. He realized this was a genre where he could take the qualities he enjoyed most from RPGs, the customization and the backstories for characters, and expand on them, being able to appreciate the simple moments of watching a character live out their lives. He mentions that in inZOI, the NPCs will live out their lives, get jobs, and go to work. Previously, he was an art director for Aeon, and saw how important the customization of the characters were, especially when it comes to attracting a female player base. So he plans to bring those levels of customization into his life sim. In the video, he praised The Sims 3's seamless open world and talks about how disappointed he was that The Sims 4 was zone-based. His team was able to create an open world with incredible speed, as this is what they've been doing for the past 20 years. To sum up this section, although this is the team's first crack at a life sim, there are a lot of aspects and experience they can pull from their time working in RPGs that translate well when it comes to the development of a life sim. One of the features they talk about that has traditionally been included in RPG games is a reputation system. Certain actions done by a character can stack, eventually giving them the label of a bad person. An NPC committing a robbery, for example, will cause them to develop a bad reputation. A bad reputation will have an effect on future interactions with that character, and that character will unlock various actions related to the bad reputation label. A character with a bad enough reputation may even be removed from the game and taken to jail.
We put you in jail right away.
In The Sims 3, there were various actions or jobs that could have your sim arrested and taken to jail. But we did lose that in The Sims 4. One of the things that The Sims 4 is often criticized for is not having enough consequences. inZOI is taking a different approach. One of the features that really surprised the community was your characters, or ZOIs as they're being called, could die from being hit by a car. The developer talks about this feature and how during one of his playtests, his ZOI had a child. At one point, the child was away from home, got into a car accident, and died. He was shocked by this, but concluded with, "Life isn't always filled with happy moments. It wouldn't be a true life simulation without these realistic moments. When you have the ups and downs, happiness and sadness, all coexisting, you get the true experience of fun. It's a sentiment that I see echoed often within the Sims community. Jumping next into the character creator, we can obviously see right off the bat that the look and style is heavily Korean inspired, which I genuinely enjoy. But don't worry, the team is very invested in taking community feedback, and one of the major things they're working on is improving their Western faces, as well as including a variety of different hairstyles for all ethnicities. The team seems genuine in their understanding of how important diverse customization is to individual players. They show off a feature where you can layer clothing items and it all looks really good. You are also able to really customize the actual meshes of the clothing to whatever you want. They really are taking customization to the next level. They speak about their AI pattern customization tool. The generation is all being done server-side, so it won't be a strain on your computer to generate these. In the video, they surprisingly do bring up The Sims 4 quite a bit, and they address probably the biggest concern players have when it comes to inZOI. As we know, The Sims 4 is currently on its 74th DLC pack. Players are fed up and don't want to see that type of monetization make its way into another life sim game. When asked if inZOI will try and monetize these features in the game, the response given was absolutely not. There is greater value in allowing players to freely use the tools to create and share content, creating a positive cycle that encourages players to come back to the game and play. And of course, we do see those patterns within The Sims. The Sims 2 and 3, despite being older games, still have returning players, with custom content creators still making new content for the games. inZOI plans to provide a platform for players to share their creations on, and they want to have different categories to feature various members that have the best builds, the best fashion, and so on. Microtransactions, where every new outfit or object had to be bought separately, was a big worry that the community had when learning about this game. So I hope that puts some of those fears to rest. I imagine things like DLC will probably still make its way into the game in the future, but the concept of DLC on its own is really not an issue or a bad thing. Good DLC can really expand on and build onto a game. The Sims team have taken their DLC model way too far, and it has really turned Simmers off the idea of DLC. Having 74 and counting DLC packs is ridiculous. The developer talks about how The Sims 4 is their biggest competitor, but they are not competing with just the base game of The Sims 4. They are competing with the whole package, all the DLC along with user-created mods and custom content. With how large The Sims is as a brand, it will be hard to break into that market, but for them it was worth a shot. We get an idea for how populated the world may end up being when the developer talks about the intricacies of trait selection for characters. We are given a number of 200 to 300 NPCs roaming the map, who all have their own unique personality traits. They briefly mention how characters dynamically change as they develop relationships with other characters. The developer also talks about his process for creating traits for the characters. He says he wanted to create a layout for what makes a complete human being. He mentions that he did take some inspiration from The Sims, but because there weren't many other games to reference, he also researched actual psychology papers when creating these features. It seems like character customization will be quite extensive, with all the options totaling around 300 unique data points for each character. Another feature they are working on is a life log of sorts for ZOIs. Included may be information like where they went to school, or times in their life when they got into trouble. Another interesting feature that they did show off right in the beginning of the video was a face tracker, similar to what VTubers use. Both of them were really funny, joking that the feature was broken and didn't work for Asian people because the game couldn't tell that his eyes were open. Multiplayer is a feature that has been confirmed for inZOI, although what that actually entails is unknown. With a feature like this, it looks like we may be able to directly play as our characters and talk through them to other players. It'll be interesting to see how this feature develops and if its purpose is for multiplayer. From the playtest demo, we have seen the first Korean-inspired world that's available to players. inZOI plans to have 3 worlds to play at early access launch, with more to be developed in the future. The second world is Bliss Bay, an American-inspired world, and the third will be European-inspired. We get a glimpse of Bliss Bay, and it is impressive. You can see the heavy inspiration taken from the Santa Monica Pier in California. The team doesn't want to limit themselves to one city for inspiration, and will be working on mixing different elements of America for this world. According to the developer, the amusement rides are more than just set decor. Your characters can actually interact with the rides. One of the things still being worked on, especially for the more widespread world of Bliss Bay, is a dedicated mode of transportation. They acknowledge it's unrealistic to have your character running around everywhere, although they don't go into detail what types of transportation they are planning on including. A few other neat features they touch on is the city safety level setting. This will affect how chaotic a city will be with crime and fights that can happen, and will also lower the success rate of relationships. You have the ability to control weather within the game. You can make it rainy or cloudy. There are different levels of rain, I assume from a light drizzle to a heavier downpour. The character's hair and clothing actually gets wet when it rains. You have the ability to change the images and videos displayed on the billboards around your world. You can upload your own images or link a video from YouTube to play on the billboards. When talking about this feature, the interviewer clarifies, asking if this will also be a free feature, and the developer responds with yes, of course. We get to see some of the build tools, and the customization is amazing. You can start by picking a pre-built home or a blank lot. On a blank lot, you can build your own house or place down a custom pre-built house. Stairs can be twisted to create spiral staircases. Holding down Shift, you can place objects wherever you like, stacking them on top of each other. Depending on where you place items, you may not be able to interact with them in-game, but from the video, it does seem like the game lets you know when you're placing something if it will be interactable or not. Obviously, many builders enjoy completely free placement of items, so it is nice to see a feature like that right off the bat. When asked about how jobs in the game will function, we learn that each job will be interactive. You will be able to go with your character to their job. There is currently a small selection of jobs to pick from: firefighter, K-pop artist, working at a convenience store, and a kimbap place, which is like a little restaurant. The team plans on adding more jobs in the future, listing a game developer and a vet. They want to work on fully fleshing out a small number of jobs, slowly adding more in the future, rather than just adding a bunch of empty jobs. There is a funny little feature they've added into the game where if an NPC is running late for work, they will start running to their job. With the added work simulation being taken into consideration, a day in inZOI will last longer than a typical sim day. A sim day is about 24 minutes. A day in inZOI will last about 40 minutes. Relationships are briefly touched on. Within the family, if a relationship turns sour, the kids may leave the home and the wife could refuse to come home. When looking at what computer specs will be needed to play this game, the developer does say that the base requirements will not be small, but they are looking into optimizing the game for lower spec machines. Towards the end of the second video, we get to see a little tour of the development studio. Their studio started with 20 to 30 members and has since grown to around 50 to 60. They are currently working on expanding their team, and the developer has a great admiration for modders and custom content creators within the Sims community. He can see the passion they have when creating their mods. In the video, they mention they are open to hiring modders and custom content creators. So for any of you sim content creators out there, this may be your chance to work for inZOI. Throughout the video, you can see how passionate the developer is when talking about the game. You really get the sense that he is in this to create a good game and not just a way of capitalizing on the simming community. You can sense the reservations he has at the idea of going up against a giant like EA, and just hopes that inZOI will be successful. I'm really excited for this game, especially after this interview with the developer. I'm excited to see how the game progresses. I really hope we see more family-focused gameplay as well. It's the one thing that's been lacking quite a bit in all of these new life sims. I hope they can equally flesh out babies and children along with the adult life stages. I think the team's biggest struggle will be promoting their game to a Western audience. The language barrier does make it harder for the crossover of information. I do hope other content creators will pick up on inZOI to help further support its reach within the community. This is another game we should be supporting the development of. inZOI is coming in strong and it's going to be a heavy hitter. If any of the games in development are going to take a chunk out of EA's monopoly of life sims, it just might be them. I definitely recommend checking out the 2 videos. I'll link them in my description. You can watch them with English subtitles. What do you think of inZOI and what do you hope to see in the game? I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts. More information on inZOI is planned to be released sometime in April, so keep an eye out for that. Let me know if you made it to the end of the video. Leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, thanks for watching.